Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I'm kind of doing, I guess it's not a throwback game. It's a game from a couple of weeks ago. They're currently doing the speed chess championships. They've been doing it for I think about a month, 3 weeks, something like that. And so the most recent Wesley So games were Wesley So versus Jan-Krzysztof Duda. So this is just one of their games that I went ahead and took. I figured I'd just do a little analysis on it real quick. But it is from, they do 3 different sections when they do the speed chess championships. So they have a longer blitz. So it's 5 minutes plus 1 second increment. And then they move into a 3 minute and 1 second increment portion. And then they move into a bullet, which is 1 minute with the 1 second increment. So the games are pretty fast. They're not like, the blitz portion isn't insanely fast, but, they can... It's pretty quick, for some people out there that aren't used to the 1 minute, 5 minute, 3 minute, 8 minute, 10 minute games. It can be kind of blazing fast. So, but yeah, if you guys are ready, I'm going to be doing the, do this here. All right. I'm going to be doing the, what's it called? I'll do the puzzle at the end. So I figured I'll move them to the end. That way, in case people, they want to just kind of watch the analysis at the beginning. They can do that, and then if they want to exit out before the puzzles come, they feel free to do that. But like I said, I'll move it to the end. We'll just get it all done at the end. So those diehard chess fans that really look forward to the puzzle, that'll be right there at the end of the video. So if you guys are ready, let's take a look and see what we have in this video here. All right, so we have D4 and we got C5, we got D5, so we got E5, E4, and D6. So we have a Benoni. It's known as the old Benoni or Franco-Benoni. A lot of times you'll see C4 coming, and it's I think it's the most commonly played move. It's definitely the strongest move by far. So we have knight to C3 in the game, and so C3 is definitely not bad. It's I believe it's like the second choice, but C4 just basically just like exclams the pawn structure, and just puts your space. Just through the ceiling. But like I said, we have knight to C3. And so we have G6. We have H4. Now G6, to be completely honest with you, it's kind of a curious move. Just simply because it's like, if you develop this bishop onto this diagonal, it's not really doing much. It's kind of biting on a rock, with its own pawn in the way. And there's not really ever a situation where you're going to be able to remove that pawn from the center of the board, so you're kind of killing your bishop. Not that way. You're kind of killing your bishop a little bit by putting it there. But anyway, so we have bishop to H6. Noticing that that's an issue. So trying to correct it a little bit. So we got H5, and H5 is actually as of move 6. It's the novelty of the game. It's not often that you come up with a novelty of a game in the 6th move of a game, but here it is, H5 novelty. But it's a very simple concept. I mean, you're trying to create a hook, and try to create some trades so you can open some lines and stuff for your pieces. So we have bishop takes C1, we got queen takes C1, so we got G5. Knight G to E2. Something else that was possible was just H6. Just putting a nice little exclam on this and trying his best as possible to kill this rook in the corner. All right, so we got knight to H6. We got knight to G3. And so we have castles on the king side. And, I think a lot of you guys looking at this right now are kind of already seeing, the severe weaknesses in black's position. And so, there are a lot of different positions that you'll come in contact with that, you really don't need a chess engine to kind of tell you, who's doing better or not. If we just kind of take a look at it, I mean, black has a very exposed king, and they've pushed their G pawn, which, can be very heavily attacked. And so there are a lot of weaknesses in black's position here. So moving forward, so we have bishop to D3. And so we have A6. And so we got A4. Just making sure we prevent B5 from coming. So we got B6. Knight down to D1. Now, this move might look kind of like weird to some of you, but it has very clear intentions, and you'll see that in this next move. But the main focus for white is going to be this f5 square. You're trying to create an outpost for your knights, and you're trying to, as best as possible, prevent this f5 push, because that's a very common thing to try to break down, you know, white's nice center that they have. As you can see, this e4 and d5 pawn are looking mighty beautiful. So we have rook to a7, and so we got knight to e3. Like I said, I mean, you know, we're redirecting this knight around to, you know, try to, you know, infiltrate into the f5 square and just prevent that pawn push. All right, so we got king to h8, and we got queen to d2, and we got knight to d7. All right, so c3, we got knight to f6, and we have b4. Now, a very useful move in this position instead of b4 was actually f3. And it's multi-purposeful. I mean, it's just like reinforcing the center with e4 and trying to prevent, you know, any of these pieces from being able to try to hop into this g4 square, especially a knight. And so it had a lot of purposes to it. You know, b4 is not bad, but if you want to go ahead and pause the video here, actually, and see if you can find a nice little tactical move, nice little tactical shot that black has at its disposal. I'll give you a couple seconds here. All right. Now, I kind of gave you a hint a second ago because, you know, I kind of hinted at, you know, f3's, you know, protecting possibilities. And so if you came up with the move knight takes e4, then, you know, you recognize that, you know, e4 was kind of weak. And, you know, me saying f3, you know, pushing f3 was a very useful move. And so, you know, you might have noticed the vulnerability of the e4 square. Now, it's not a move that's very easy to see, just simply because, you know, it just kind of seems like it just throws a knight away. But just going in one of the continuations, we'd have bishop takes e4, which is by far the best one. I'll show you the other one as well. But so we'd see f5 coming. And, you know, you don't really, I mean, you're going to be losing a piece here. So, you know, you might as well just do something else. So we got b takes c5, b takes c5. We got knight to c4, f takes e4, and we got knight takes e4. And so that is the ultimate best continuation there. And if we were to go into another continuation, with after knight takes e4 would be, you know, the knight taking e4. And so you'd have the same thing. You'd have f5 coming. You know, you're going to be losing a piece anyway, like I said. So it's like you might as well just go ahead and, you know, just snap off a pawn. So knight would take d6, queen takes d6. We'd see castles, e4, and then bishop back to c2. And so going back to what we had in the game, like I said, we had b4. And so Duda actually does the complete opposite of taking e4, and he undevelops a knight back to g8. So, I mean, it's quite a passive move. It definitely jumps white's advantage up quite a bit. So we see a5 trying to gain as much space as possible. So we see c takes b4, c takes b4, and we got b5. And so the most natural, like obvious move in the position is going to be rook to c1. I mean, you know, you're just looking at this heavy, you know, open file here, and you know, the fact that these white pieces can, you know, infiltrate, and you know, especially if you plop a piece here on c6 square, I mean, you're going to be able to try to trade and, you know, get a nice pass pawn and everything. So, all right, so we see rook to e7, or knight to e7, my bad. All right, so we got castles, bishop to d7, and like I said before, you know, we're going to go ahead and double these rooks on the c file. So we have rook to c7, and then rook f to c1. So we got rook takes c3, queen takes c3, we got queen to a8, and I think y'all already know what's coming. This queen is gonna, you know, infiltrate in here. Now it's kind of tricky because there's a possibility of winning the rook outright for black. So it might seem questionable, but it's very, very sound, and it was actually the top move of the computer. So we have rook to c8. So we win the bishop on d7, queen takes d7, rook takes c1, king to h2. All right, so we got queen to f8, Unfortunately, that gives away a pawn. So you have queen takes d6, and you have knight to g6, a little zwitch and zug move. Now, the thing about it is, a zwitch and zug move is not always the best move, because sometimes, it doesn't really do what you would like for it to do. And so, what you're looking at as black is the fact that, you do have an undefended queen on d6. But unfortunately, white actually has their own zwitch and zug move, and that's queen f6 check. And, the knight now, unfortunately, is on pre. And so this is just a severe, gross miscalculation by Duda. And so we have queen to g7. There's only two moves, either queen to g7 blocking or king to g8. And so we trade queens here. Queen takes g7 check, king takes g7, and then we're able to snap the knight off the board here with h takes g6. So we got f takes g6, knight to e2, attacking that rook there on c1. All right, so we got rook to a1. So we got d6, trying to see if we can't score a touchdown with this pawn. So we got knight to f7, and we have d7. So that pawn is really, really close to being a queen. And so we have rook to a3, throwing a little attack on that bishop. Bishop to c2. All right, so we got king to f6. All right, so we got knight to d5 check. So we got king to e6, knight to c7 check, king takes d7, knight takes a6, knight to d6, knight to c5 check, and we got king sidestepping it over there to e7. All right, so we have bishop to b3. Now, something that you guys want to make sure that you're paying attention to is when you have two minor pieces against a rook, and when you're getting into in-games, you want to try to make sure that all your pieces are coordinated and that they're protecting each other. And so this bishop 3 move is very useful because not only is it blocking the rook's ability to really move, it's coordinating very well with this knight. So you have to always make sure you keep that stuff in mind. So we have h5. All right, so we got a6. That passed pawn is protected, so we're going to go ahead and try to push it as far as we can. All right, so we have g4. We have knight to c3. All right, so knight to f6, knight to d5 check, and we have king to g5. So knight comes back to c3. We have h4, but unfortunately, Wesley has a very cute, nice little move here to block the rook's ability to try to take this pawn, and it is bishop to a4. And so as you guys can see, there's not a way to now stop this pawn because the knight cannot come here. And so you're going to be pushing here, you're going to be pushing here. And it is actually in this position that Duda actually, his time runs. And so he loses the game on time. I mean, it's pretty much like a resignation because, at the end of the day, like I said, the pawn cannot be stopped. I mean, you can always take here, but, you're going to be pushing. You're not caring about that bishop, getting taken. So, like I said, that is that game. And as promised, here is the solution to the puzzle that I gave you before. So like I said, it is a clearance sacrifice. And so the move, a sacrifice on h3 should have really came to your mind. So we have knight takes h3. And so, we have pawn takes h3. And then we have the nice rook sacrifice with rook to g4. And as you guys can see, there's not really anything black can do or white can do. Of course, if you take, the queen is just going to come. Not there. The queen's going to come there and deliver checkmate. So the next one is going to be this puzzle here. And it is, very complicated, but it is also a clearance sacrifice theme. And so, like I said, if you guys want to set this position up on your board at home or put it into, your chess engine situation, don't cheat though, but put it into your chess engine, view. So you can kind of take a look at it and stuff. I will see you guys in the next video, and I appreciate you stopping by.